Okay, so this is going to be our first video on our new unit. It is on polynomial and rational functions. And this first section is going to talk about dividing polynomials using long and synthetic division. And hopefully long division and synthetic division sound familiar to you, okay? And the reason why we do this is going to be our guiding question, which at the end of the video I'm going to have you write a response to and bring it to class. So I want you to be thinking about this, okay? What is the purpose of dividing a polynomial using synthetic or long division? Why do we do that, okay? You will see that when we do our examples, what they allow us to do is completely factor a polynomial, which allows us to find the zeros, or where the graph crosses the x-axis, okay? So what we're trying to do is divide a polynomial in order to find the zeros of the polynomial. So we're just going to get started with an example. And we're going to start in this video with long division, okay? This is example 1. We are going to divide 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4. Okay? And we're going to divide that by x minus 2. Okay? So the first thing I need to do is go ahead and set up my long division. So x minus 2 would go out here. That's what I'm dividing by. And my polynomial, 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 would go underneath my division. Okay? Now, up here, I'm going to write what times x would cancel this first term, 6x cubed. So I'm multiplying times x, so you should recognize that that would have to be x squared. So in order to keep things in line, I would go ahead and write x squared above your other x squared. And we need 6x squared. Okay? So we would have minus 6x cubed down here. Because again, I took 6x squared times x. Okay? Then I also have to take 6x squared times that minus 2. So that would be minus 12x squared. Okay? Now, here's where you have to be careful. That whole thing is subtracted. So here, 6x cubed minus 6x cubed is going to be 0. Then I have negative 19x squared minus a negative 12x squared. So I'm really adding 12x squared. So I have negative 7x squared. And then I want to go ahead and bring down, so plus 16x. So now I want to go back up here. What do I have to multiply x by in order to get a 7x squared? Well, that's going to be minus 7x. Now I need to distribute to both things. So I've got a minus 7x squared. Notice, negative minus a negative is going to get me 0. Then negative 7x times a negative 2 would be plus 14x. and I'm going to go ahead and do the subtraction. Negative 7x squared minus negative 7x squared should be 0. 16x minus a positive 14x should get me 2x. Then I'll go ahead and bring down my minus 4. Here, I need to cancel a 2x, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply by a positive 2. 2 times x would get minus 2x. 2 times a negative 2 minus 4. 2x minus 2x is 0. Negative 4 minus a negative 4 is also 0. So our remainder is 0. The remainder being 0 tells us that we know that x minus 2 is a factor of that original polynomial. And I'm guessing just by looking at it, you wouldn't have been sure that that was a factor. So what do we get from our division answer? Okay, from our division answer, we got this, 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. Now, how do we write this polynomial in purple in factored form? That's our ultimate goal. Okay, well, I just got done saying the fact that the remainder was 0 tells me that x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, how do you know what the other factor might be? Well, that's going to be your answer from your division problem. Okay. Now that this is a quadratic, okay, you should be able to factor it. Now up here, this was a little bit more difficult. You could not just factor a cube, okay? But now that we've reduced, okay, our exponent to a 2, you should be able to factor this, okay? A lot of people just factor this by guess and check. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how I would factor that, not by guess and check, okay? So I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to get a new piece of paper. I'm going to show you how I would factor 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. And how I factor these problems, because I can't factor that just by guess and check, okay? I go ahead and use a form of grouping. So the first thing I do is, in order to use grouping, I need 4 terms. And I'm going to make this into 4 terms by changing that middle term into 2 terms, but still making sure I get a negative 7x. So I do that by multiplying the first and the last number, which is 12. Okay? Now, I need factors of 12 that get a negative 7 when they are added together, okay? Because that's what I'm trying to break apart. And those happen to be, I think, negative 3 and negative 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite negative 7x as a minus 3x and a minus 4x. That is the same thing as negative 7x. Okay, so I'm just going to break that middle term apart into 4 terms. Okay, and now I'm ready for grouping. Notice I haven't changed anything. I'm going to group my first 2 terms and my last 2 terms. And here, once you've grouped, you're just looking for the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor between 6x squared and 3x would be 3x. Then what do I have left in the parentheses? 2x minus 1. Okay? Minus 4x and 2 have 2 in common. Okay? Then left over I have a 2x, and then here's where you have to be careful. Because that is a subtraction sign right there, I also need a subtraction sign inside my parentheses in order to get back to that. So now I just pick out, here's one factor because that's what they have in common, 2x minus 1. Second one is the leftovers, 3x minus 2. And if you would get good at practicing those, then you would be better at them instead of having to use, guess and check. So I'm going to go back to our paper because that should be my solution. 2x minus 1, 3x minus 2. So there's my polynomial, my original one from way up here in purple, totally factored. Okay? And from this, I could figure out what the zeros are because you can figure out where those cross the x-axis. I'm going to do another video with another example of long division, and then we will also talk about synthetic division in that video.